the royal
We do nothing
public.
wrong. I mean, we're just perfectly reacting to it. Everyone
Obviously. That's the point of this podcast, is that we are right and people should listen to us. There's your clip, business boys. There's your show promo clip.
Hello and welcome to HR Confessions. I'm Rebecca Taylor.
And I'm Kim Rohrer. We are bringing you unfiltered perspectives from the world of HR. Terrible stories, good advice.
And today we're talking about work parties. Kim, have you ever had to plan a work party? Like a quarterly celebration, team happy hour? Yeah, anything like
Just
that?
Reflexively gasp, inhaled as you said work parties. Yes.
Tell me about this. Why does this Why does this make this reaction happen?
For those who don't know my story, I started out in office management before I transitioned fully into HR. So I have planned a crap load of office parties. In office, out of office. I don't know if we're talking like parties inside the office space or just office parties. But I have planned everything from like tiny team hosting their little celebration to like hundreds and hundreds of people holiday party with giant budgets. You name it, I have planned it. So I've seen a lot.
What's your general reaction to like hearing that we're going to be talking about these today?
You seem very excited about this story and you've said it's wild, but I've seen so much shit that I'm like, I dare you to surprise me, Rebecca. Let's see if you can shock me on this one. I'm very excited to hear this story because I love messy holiday party stories when they're not mine. I've had many of them.
I think that's the key. It's like when they're not mine.
Right. Other people's mess is great.
Yeah. I'm very Marie Kondo with other people's messes. I'm always like, I love mess.
Yes.
But as soon as it starts to get into my domain or my area, I'm like, no. I don't want to.
This does not bring me joy.
Not bring me joy. Clean it out. Get rid of it.
Yes.
Are you ready to get into it?
I'm so ready.
Okay. Picture it. A bustling metropolis on a massive land surrounded by water. It's
Great.
Springtime. So like
Beautiful.
Warm, sunny. The year doesn't really matter, but I will say that it was a time pre-COVID when mostly everyone was in the office.
Great.
It was a time of prosperity where startups were getting funded ungodly amounts of money and a very specific personality type was known to run them.
Yes.
It was the age of move fast and break things.
Yes.
Adam Newman was everyone's hero, and Magnesis credit cards were all the rage among a very specific group of people. Do you remember these times?
I do. This was like my early startup years, or my middle startup years. I do remember this time. I remember it well, not with all fondness.
It was a vibe. Let's just put it that way. It was a vibe.
It was a vibe.
Yeah.
Sure was.
So
We're talking
our
like
HR,
probably it's around like 2010, 2008, 2011,
Probably.
somewhere in that like late aughts-ish era. I'm feeling it. I know what San Francisco was like then. I was there. Like people say they were at Woodstock. I was there, man. I was there for Silicon Valley before the TV show came out. Yeah.
and that, I think that I think like 2010s is a good estimate for what this is based on
great.
what we're about to hear.
It's going to be awesome.
So our HR hero's name today is Sandra. Sandra works at a startup, and I'm putting startup in quotes, of about 250 to 300 people.
Yes. So they're venture capital funded and not yet profitable, and they're growing. They maybe have product market fit.
We'll see. So it's about 250 to 300 people. We're going to call it Figley. So Figley is the name of her company. She's one step below the VP, and she has a coordinator and a recruiter who report to her. So the hierarchy is kind of important. So the startup isn't really a startup anymore, but it acts like one, and it acts like a very well-funded one. It had been bought a few years ago by a public company that we're going to call Jigsaw. And Sandra and her team were hired by that acquiring company. They were hired by Jigsaw to bring HR oversight to this renegade team at Figley.
Sounds right.
Jigsaw is in a whole other city. So they're removed from the day-to-day goings-on where Sandra is, and Sandra and her boss and her team are basically like boots on the ground for Jigsaw at Figley. And now, a quick word from our sponsor, SkillCycle. SkillCycle is a talent development system that connects performance management to one-to-one coaching and development. The SkillCycle platform aligns individual growth with business objectives through continuous feedback, AI-powered development paths, and leadership training. As a SkillCycle co-founder, I'd love to talk to you out there in our audience, progressive people leaders who really get it. Let's chat over coffee on us to give us some feedback on the episode and about the challenges you're facing today. You might just contribute to a topic on our next episode. Email us today at hrconfessions@skillcycle.com. That's hrconfessions@skillcycle.com.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think of this setup? How does this dynamic impact possibly, how does this interact, like her interactions with her coworkers? How could this dynamic and setup impact that?
Well, it's very interesting because a lot of times when people like Sandra and her team are hired by the new corporate overlords, they're hired to bring law and order. They're hired to be spies. They're hired to report back, like very traditional HR-y kind of HR, how people think about HR when they're like, HR is not your friend. Like, this is how the Sandras of the world usually end up in startups. I don't know anything else about Sandra and her team. They might be lovely people who are very startup-y mentality-wise. But I have found that usually when the acquiring company hires someone to like bring HR to the renegade startup that they just bought, it's not usually because they want the most progressive people practices and they want to implement employee-friendly anything.
Yeah. And I'm usually like, why didn't you just relocate someone from Jigsaw? Was there no one else at this huge public company that wanted to be that? Why did you hire people?
There might not have been. I was in this position with the startup I was with when we got acquired. They had corporate HR who would come out and like try to get me in line, and I just refused to get in line, and eventually I left. And then corporate hired their own people because they're like, we want our people to come and be boots on the ground here. And my guess is that no one from Jigsaw wanted to relocate to wherever this city was. And so they needed to hire, or they didn't have enough staff to support. Sometimes companies are acquiring companies so quickly that they just don't have enough internal staff to like farm them out to every startup they acquire.
Yeah, no, it's fair. So for Sandra, she usually feels kind of caught in the middle. Mm-hmm. So she wants to be connected with the startup culture and her coworkers who she spends so much time with at Figley. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, she was hired by Jigsaw to bring some order and structure. Right. Since, as we know, publicly traded companies historically and notoriously have more rules and regulations.
Yes. And she's like, guys, I'm trying to be cool. Just like make my job easier.
Yeah. It's like, please don't make this harder for me.
People. She's like, Figley guys, I'm trying to be cool here.
Yeah.
Jigsaw.
Like, I'm not like regular HR. I'm cool HR.
Right. Yeah. I know that.
And the thing with Sandra is like, the thing with Sandra is like, she likes the startup-y culture. That's kind of what brought her there. But she also isn't on board with everything that the Figley leaders do. They're chaotic. They think the rules don't apply to them. They think it's fun to host happy hours in the office with company-provided alcohol every Friday. Every single change that Sandra and her manager, the VP, attempt to introduce has to be heavily negotiated and introduced in a very specific way so they aren't constantly met with resistance. Like everything is a negotiation.
Yep.
And so part of these compromises includes reducing the number of those in-office happy hours. Okay. So Figley has them every Friday from closing time to whenever, in quotes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm not fazed by this because that is what, like, every company did that. Every company had happy hours weekly, had a bar in the office, this was the pervasive social culture of tech startups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like, yes, of course they did. Why is this a problem? What have they done?
Yeah. And it's also very typical for startups that tend to hire a lot of people right out of college who are sort of in entry-level jobs as like a carryover, which is very much the vibe at Figley.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and there's a lot of people who work here who move from other places. So like this is their core social group.
Right.
But a weekly company sponsored in-office happy hour is a little bit much at this point. The place is often a mess. The cleaning bills are getting outrageous. Equipment isn't getting damaged yet, but it's just a matter of time. It's just there's a list of things.
So, Rebecca, wait a second. this doesn't sound like happy hour. This sounds like a party every Friday night. I'm thinking like
It's called a happy hour, but it sounds like
Friday,
a party.
and like everybody has a beer and they go about their ways. This sounds like every Friday is a party with no end time. That is very different from we have a Friday happy hour. Yes, absolutely. We used to do Friday happy hour.
This is what it's called.
We'd have our all hands, and then everyone has a
hour.
drink, and you go home. Yeah, no, this is a party every Friday in the office.
Yeah, no,
unacceptable.
This is a party every Friday,
Do you see how I
sponsored by the
quickly
company
switched
in
my
the office.
tune? Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I've changed my tune.
Yeah, and so Sandra. Yeah, so Sandra and her manager know they need to get a hold on things, but they know they can't take away the happy hours, quote unquote, without having something to offer in return. So they come up with the idea to take the weekly happy hour budget and repurpose it into like a quarterly company outing / party where they can really go all out. So instead of doing a rager every week, it's like, let's use all this money to do something big once a quarter. So we can still go out, we can still burn off our steam, and it's going to be nice, and it's not going to be in the office. So the team at Figley eventually agrees to this because they're like, okay, cool. Like we can like do it up. That sounds cool. And so now Sandra has to start planning the first event, which will take place at the end of Q2. So this is when we get to springtime, June-ish. That's kind of their general area. So how are you feeling so far? Sandra's about to start planning this party. What do you think?
I sure hope Sandra gets a cross-functional crew together to help plan it, or everyone is going to hate all of her ideas because it's not what they wanted. That's my first thought. Sandra's in for it.
Since it's the first event that she's planning, she's getting a lot of input.
I bet
she's getting a lot of input from employees with their wish lists. So they want to go to the beach. They want to rent out a rooftop bar. They want to book out a venue and get a DJ. But there's one specific suggestion that keeps coming up over and over and over again. So Sandra does what any responsible party planner does. She sends out a survey with all the options that everybody said, and it's basically like rank these, out of your priorities, like rank the order that you want to do these. And it turns out everyone wants to do a boat party. What do you think about boat parties?
I have planned boat parties before. 200 people. Are they inviting guests, or is it just employees? I feel differently if it's also with guests.
Just employees.
If it's just employees, I feel better about it. I actually rather like a boat party. It's very contained, as long as you're doing it through a reputable company and not like we're going to rent a boat and like rent a captain. If you do it like through an event company,
someone's going to captain the ship.
I mean, I've seen it happen where people are like, we're going to all go out on this employee's sailboat. He knows how to sail. And I'm like, oh, liability, terrible. But like in the Bay Area, for example, there are several companies where they have it down. It's so easy. You just pick the menu for the food and you go out on the boat. And like the hardest part of it is making sure everyone gets there in time to get on the boat before it leaves. But otherwise, then once you're there, like, it's a very easy offsite to plan. And it's relatively safe.
See, I feel the opposite.
They have laws about how much alcohol they can serve on the boat and what people can do on the boat. And like, I don't have to be in charge of everyone's safety and security because the boat has so many rules of its own. It's not only on me. I want to know why you feel the opposite.
So it's interesting that you say this because I'm going to bookmark that note for later, that there are rules about how much they can serve on the boat, because I don't know if anybody told this party that.
Oh, no.
Personally, I'm just not a fan of boat. I'm not a fan of boat parties because I get instantly like claustrophobic. Like I just feel trapped, and I'm like, I don't want to be here with these people. I don't want to like hang out.
We
on
have
the boat.
to have a boat that's the right size
like,
for your group of people, and have places where people can like go to be outside or away from the group, or like it all depends on the size of the boat.
It's not even like a true space claustrophobia thing. It's just I like to be able to leave because I'm like I don't. Yeah, I'm like, I can't leave, and that's what bothers me. Like, I'm swimming out to sea. Like, I'm bailing here.
Totally fair.
So as you noted, in the Bay Area, I know this is similar in New York, another one that's on the water. There are a lot of, like, corporate cruise options for Sandra to choose from. She books a 3-hour cruise, complete with an open bar, dinner, and a DJ. It's one of those boats where the dining room is upstairs on what's basically a balcony that looks over the dance floor with more tables surrounding the dance floor downstairs, kind of like your standard.
Classy.
Yeah. Gorgeous,
I can't believe they're going to do this every
big
quarter.
amount of space.
Like something of this.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping on top of you. But I just can't believe they're doing this type of event every quarter. This
Well, yeah,
ridiculous.
I mean, we'll see if they do.
True enough.
And so Sandra's really happy because her contact is super helpful. She gets the approval for the contract from Jigsaw, and she signs the contract to lock in their first choice date. Things are looking good. Like, she's like, great, we got everything we wanted. This is fabulous. Wonderful. So fast forward maybe a month at most, and now it's the day of the cruise, a Thursday. Note the day of the week. The launch point is a quick trip from the office. So people are coordinating in groups when they're leaving and how they want to get there. Like, are we doing public transit? Are we taking a taxi? Are we walking? The cruise departs at 6:30 p.m. The workday ends around 5, and immediately the whole office turns into like changing rooms, makeup stations, the works. Yes. People are going all out like it's prom. Like, they bought outfits for this cruise. They're doing their hair. There's hairspray everywhere.
Amazing.
Because remember, this is like their social crew.
Yeah.
And these are, they're more junior people in their general career. So they're also still getting to understand how to show up to a work event compared to a party.
I've been there at multiple companies.
And
multiple companies I have been in this exact scenario, helping people find power outlets for their curling irons in the office. Yeah. Yes. I know the vibe very well.
Yeah. So Sandra finishes freshening up, and she plans to head to the boat early so she can meet with the captain and the event planner, make sure everything's looking good. HR always is allowed to get there. It's a little perk of the job. You can get there, 20 minutes early.
Yes. Such perks.
Notably, her VP is out sick this particular day. So Sandra and her recruiter and the coordinator are the only HR reps going on this cruise. So Sandra's kind of like the top rank since her VP's not there. So normally when her manager's out, Figley's general manager is HR's default manager. So it's like you report to the GM if the VP's not there, at least on site. So Sandra goes to check in with him before she heads out to make sure he knows where she is and to see if he needs anything before she goes. So we're going to call him Brent. When she gets to Brent's office, he's not alone. He has all the sales managers in there with the VP of sales, the engineering managers with the VP of engineering, and basically the managers and VPs of every department except hers. There's a bottle of Jack on his desk, and it's clear that they've all been in Brent's office doing shots.
Oh.
So it's all the managers, the VPs, literally every department except for HR. And Sandra's just coming in to like find out about this as she's getting ready to leave to make sure that this party's good.
Great.
So in a classic moment, when Sandra walks in, Brent goes, "Oh no, HR is here. Everyone act normal." Like, this is the funniest, most original thing he's ever heard, right? Isn't that so unique?
Gross. So stupid.
How does it make you feel?
Annoyed. Rolling my eyes, but like not that big a deal. Whatever.
It's just so classic.
Just dumb. Yeah.
It's like, okay, Brent, whatever. So remember, Sandra's always kind of like, she likes a lot of the Figley people. She's not super corporate like Jigsaw. So she always kind of is a little bit in the middle. And we all also have our own real personalities versus our work personalities.
Well, sure.
So where her real personality might be like, oh man, it must be so fun to pregame with people who you get along with before a party. But her work personality is like, he's not like this. But she doesn't want to be a wet blanket. So there's no real rule about drinking in the office, especially because only recently they were having these rager in-office happy hours every Friday.
And I don't think it's her job to police the people who are more senior than she is. That's not a fair expectation.
Exactly. And this isn't a totally abnormal thing to witness. It's just like, oh yeah, it's not like it's out of place. So pushing aside her initial kind of aggravation at being excluded, Sandra lets now everyone know that she and her team are heading out to get to the boat and make sure everything's in order. Basically, HR is leaving the building. So Brent brushes her off and is like, okay, see you later. And she reminds him that the boat leaves at 6:30. So anyone who isn't on it at that time gets left behind. Because, you always have to remind people of every single little logistic.
Absolutely.
Sandra and her team get to the boat. Everything looks great. The weather is perfect. The staff are accommodating and professional, and Sandra feels like everything is going to go off without a hitch. Might we call it the calm before the storm, perhaps?
So we just might.
Yeah. So maybe 15, 20 minutes later, people start arriving and boarding. Everyone's way dressed up for a work event, in Sandra's opinion, but whatever floats their boat. It's not the only boat pun that you're going to hear, just fair warning.
Amazing. Great. Keep them coming.
Yeah. So because this company is kind of infamous for hiring people right out of college, they tend to kind of go there, stay for a year, and then they either get promoted or they leave for something else, assuming they don't get fired along the way. Sure. So like the demographic is relatively junior and the salary range is very entry level. So we're looking at, people who are living in this very, I imagine, expensive city. They don't have a huge budget to go out on their own. So they're like, great, I can go out. Someone's paying for me. I'm going nuts here. So they're really ready to like milk it. It's basically everything you ever could have dreamed of. So the boat leaves and drinks start to flow. The DJ starts playing his tunes and people are hitting the dance floor. If they're not king of the worlding at the front of the boat, it's like a little bit of both.
little of that going on. Love it.
Personally, I would be channeling Titanic, but that's me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So remember, this is a 3-hour cruise. Overall, the first hour goes off without a hitch. Dinner's good,
Great.
But Sandra notices that not everyone actually eats and the music is bumping. So the DJ never stops. Sometimes like they slow down so you could sit down and eat and then they like bring it back. They didn't do that this time. So like not everybody ate, which when you basically are just going to be drinking doesn't really make things great for you. So remember, these people are pretty used to partying hard together. So they have their little dynamics and traditions and games that they start to bust out. So I was asked to not go into too much detail of what these traditions are, since from my understanding, they're pretty unique. Yeah, they could be identifiable, but like what I can say is that they involve different varieties of competitive drinking. So, they're made to get you drunk. And eventually the only ones left standing are a couple of managers, the VPs, and Brent. Basically the people who've had years to build tolerance.
And who arrived already drunk.
Right, and who arrived already drunk. And who are,
what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? So the boat's heading back to shore now. So it's been a couple hours, drinks are flowing. They've been playing all these drinking games and they're due to dock soon. And most of these people are pretty drunk. So Sandra's a bit worried, but not so worried that it seems like she has to do anything. Like she knows that there's been a lot of alcohol. No one really seems like sloppy. Nothing inappropriate seems to be happening. No one's getting sick. No one's said anything to her. So she's kind of like, okay, like they've had a lot to drink and no one's really eaten, but like maybe it's not that bad. So she's like, maybe we could all just get off the boat when it docks and go our separate ways, at least until tomorrow, because it's still Thursday. They all have to see each other tomorrow. So notably, Sandra tends to get seasick. So because she tends to get seasick, she opted not to drink. And all she can think about is getting off this boat and in a taxi home so she can decompress and recover. But so she has her wits about her. Fair. She remembers everything. She's witnessed things. So like when she's assessing that things look fine, like we could pretty much trust that they probably did seem fine. Yeah. Boat docks, she exits, thanks the crew, gets in a taxi, heads home. Seems pretty easy, right? Like, any thoughts or reactions as we approach the end of this story?
What happened at the after party?
It's always an after party. So this one, I don't think it was actually an after party, but because they have to go to work the next day, Sandra gets to work the next morning and one of the employees, Melissa, pulls her aside. She goes, hey, I just wanted to let you know something that I saw at the boat party last night that I thought you should know.
Uh-oh.
Okay, thanks. What happened? Are you okay? Sandra's immediately like, are you good? Are you okay? What happened? And Melissa goes, oh yeah, I'm fine. It's just Brent. What about Brent? Melissa goes, well, I was getting off the boat with John and Katie and we saw Brent take one of the life preservers. Like he cut the rope with something and took it.
I'm sorry, what? Why?
Yes. Because he can. Like, why does anybody in these positions do these things?
Good question.
So Sandra's like, she's trying to calculate, like, okay, do you know what happened to it? And Melissa's like, yeah, it's in his office right now. Sandra's like, got it. Thanks for letting me know. I might need to follow up with you and chat with John and Katie about this at some point, just a heads up. And Melissa's like, yeah, okay. I mean, we don't want to get in trouble or anything. Like, she doesn't want to be a narc.
Right.
But, like, you can't really be a narc when this life preserver is just out on his desk anyway.
Hey, where did that come from?
Yeah, it's not like it's a secret.
Oh boy.
The difference is that Melissa, John, and Katie saw him take it. So like it can't even be like he's like, oh, I just found it.
Right.
So, so Sandra's like, no, you're not going to get in trouble. I appreciate you letting me know what you saw. I'm just going to pop over to Brent's office. He doesn't have to know we spoke yet. Because she's like, if this thing is out in the open, I don't even need to tell him that someone told me that he took it.
Right.
I'm just going to walk in and see it so I can just address it.
Right.
Which I thought was fair.
Absolutely.
So Sandra walks to Brent's office where he has the door open and is standing at his desk. Like there's nothing occurring to him that maybe he should be covert about this. The life preserver's propped on his desk behind his monitor. So just sort of, standing up, literally totally in full display. Yeah.
Yes.
So she knocks on the door frame to get his attention and she walks into his office and closes the door. Because this is also an open office, I think. So it's like he has one of those ones that's like, along the side, but there are desks right in front of it. So she doesn't want anybody overhearing.
This is such bro energy. I can't.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is.
Such bro privilege.
Yeah.
Continue.
Oh. So she's trying to she's thinking to herself, how do I even start this conversation? And she just decides to just go right in. She's like, I don't have it in me to even beat around the bush here. So she's like, hey, Brent, where'd that life preserver come from? Mind you, it also has the name of the ship written on it.
Of course.
It's not like you could be like, oh, I just bought a life preserver. It says like the SS boat cruise or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, good.
And so Brent is like, oh, I took a little souvenir from the cruise. Excellent job on that, by the way. I think people had a lot of fun. I can hear the intonation. Excellent
just
job,
petty
by the
theft,
way.
as one does.
Yeah, just like completely oblivious to the fact that this could be an issue. So she goes, right, thanks. When you say you took it, what do you mean exactly? It's just a thing we do sometimes. Take the pint glass from the bar, sneak out a chair. It's not a big deal. Because this is totally the same.
Okay.
She goes, actually, this is kind of a big deal. They can trace the missing item back to our company. And I'm pretty sure messing with safety equipment on a boat is a felony, or at least really, really bad.
Yeah.
And so Brent's response was just continues to be dismissive, which this is the part where I feel rage for Sandra. He goes, it's fine. It's not like they can track down exactly who did it.
Yeah, they'll
So
just
remember,
think Sandra's responsible.
Exactly. The contract is in her name. She's the one who got all the things done. It's her company. It's her party. Like, even if they can't track down exactly who did it, they're going to hold Sandra accountable and the company. A publicly traded company. Like, this is newsworthy stuff. Yeah. So just deep breaths. So poor Sandra is still trying to make sure that Brent understands the gravity of the situation, and he's just being completely dismissive and just oblivious because like nothing's ever touched him. He's never had repercussions for anything. So she goes,
he's
well,
never been in trouble
besides
before.
the potential security footage. Yeah, he's never been in trouble before. Like, why would someone bother me? I'm Brent. I run Figley, and Figley's amazing. So she's like, well, besides the potential security footage, they can trace it to the company. And even if they reach out to our legal representatives from the contract, we'll have to do an investigation to see who has the item. And it's right here on display where basically anyone can see it. So she's trying to talk through process. She's trying to do it in the most Figley culture way. Like, this is,
Can you see how this might be a problem, Brent? Maybe you can find out how it might be a problem.
Maybe you could think this through just for a half a second, Brent. And he goes, well, it's already done, so I guess we'll just have to let the lawyers take care of it.
Brent.
My face
you are what is wrong. You are what is wrong, Brent. I hate you.
My face did the same thing when Sandra was telling me this story. Like, just slack jaw eye roll, just like, okay.
I hate him so much. Okay.
We're almost at the end.
I'm gonna take out all of my pent up frustration with tech bros out on Brent. I hate him.
I mean, I
Brent
think you're
is the worst. I mean, he's an archetype, but he is the worst.
So much of an archetype that I'm just like, does he not even realize just how typical this is? Like, it's just
because they all think they're different.
Yeah, I think this is the first time that I heard this story and like that I'm reading this to you, and my most reaction is just, like, I just want this guy fired. Like, I feel cringy just even relaying the story.
I want him not to get fired. I want him to not be able to, like, I want him to not have the ability to be in any sort of leadership position ever again. But probably he's the CEO of his own tech company with millions of dollars of VC funding by now.
Probably.
Because that is how the world we live in works. I hate it.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
So she goes, so like, you know, he's like, oh, just let the lawyers take care of it. And so Sandra's like, well, I have to bring this to my VP's attention and she'll have to loop in the Jigsaw team. So I guess we'll see where that goes. Because Sandra's also like, I'm not going to let this go because once you know this kind of information, you're responsible for it. You can't just, you know, you can't just say Brent says it's no big deal.
Because who's going to get in trouble? Who's going to get in trouble in the end? Not Brent.
Sandra, yeah.
Sandra's going to be the one who has to deal with the ramifications. Absolutely.
Exactly. And so Sandra talks to her boss, who's still out sick, by the way. So she just like calls her boss, and her boss escalates the situation to Jigsaw's HR team because Jigsaw is very particular about hierarchy. So they're like, we don't want to hear directly from Sandra. We need to hear from Sandra's manager.
I've been there. Yeah. Been there, baby. Yep.
So the Jigsaw team then reaches out to Brent to begin an investigation with Sandra's help. So Jigsaw's like, hey, we heard this, Brent, we're starting this investigation. You know, Sandra's going to be here to help. The investigation isn't that Brent stole a life preserver. The investigation is that a life preserver was stolen. And Sandra has to help with the investigation. So once
a life preserver was stolen and placed on his desk.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, you know, do we even have any proof that it was even him? So like once this escalates, Brent decides he doesn't care to keep the thing anymore. He's like, whatever. He's like, I'll return the life preserver to the boat, apologize, and everything will be fine. Like he'll just return it, apologize, and everything will be fine. And you know what? That's exactly what happened.
Of course. White male privilege.
Yep. All he had to do was walk up and just be like, oh, my bad. And then just like, there were no repercussions from the cruise company.
Nope.
And even worse, Jigsaw decides not to pursue the matter further.
Of course
Brent
not.
returned the life preserver. Yeah, the cruise company didn't care, so why should they waste resources on an investigation? And understandably, Sandra is like big mad about this. Like, because it's just, I mean,
it's so irritating.
Yeah, and it undermines her because she's like, I'm just trying to do the right thing here. And I'm trying to also play this role where I'm usually caught in the middle. And this was a case where I didn't feel on the fence about this at all. Like, it was very clear to me what the right thing to do was. But this was the moment that told her that this place would never change because Brent was always going to get away with things. Yeah. So basically, the job that she was hired to do to change things is a fool's errand. Yes. Like, Figley was the main revenue driver for Jigsaw. Yeah. And she's the main, like, Figley was the main revenue driver for Jigsaw, and they were the sexy startup that attracted the most talent. So the rules didn't really apply to them. And even though Sandra and her VP were there to bridge the gap between Figley and Jigsaw, neither one really had any intention of that happening. So they were literally just gonna be this forever. Right. Yeah. So I do have one last little sort of note on Sandra at the end of this, because sometimes these stories don't have like a satisfying ending. Sometimes they're kind of just like, yeah, and then they just kept their job because that's just what they had to do. But in this case, fast forward a month or so, and Sandra submits her resignation. She landed a new role with more money, and she couldn't be rid of Figley and Jigsaw fast enough.
Good job.
And she lived happily ever after, we assume.
I'm so happy. I mean, every job comes with its own form of nonsense, of course, but there's a particular kind of nonsense that is trying to bring some semblance of reasonable order when you are between a startup and the corporation that acquired them. There's no winning. There's no success that feels good. There's nothing that's gonna like actually feel good and like it's working when you're at a certain level of your career. Like if you're maybe more junior and your job really is to just like paper push back and forth and like make sure everyone's papers are filed out correctly, make sure that, you know, the HRIS is up to date, process the reminders for the performance reviews, like whatever corporate standards. But if you're actually in a position where on the surface you think you're there to change things or to improve things, like it's just not going to happen because the startup that was acquired is going to resist all the change. The corporation is going to theoretically want change, but they most likely are only going to care about retaining the white bros that,
The golden handcuffs.
yeah, like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that she had to go through that, but also her story is not unique. Poor girl. Poor girl.
Poor Sandra.
But like,
And
what is this like casual kleptomania that we see? I mean, I've seen it in many companies and like startups. I went to interview for a place and they had like a trophy shelf of like glasses they'd stolen from bars where they had happy hours and stuff. I'm like, is it just like, we're so rich we can steal from bars? Like, what is the point? I just don't understand it. Please, listeners, if you can explain to me is it like a need for an adrenaline rush? Is it like they want to do things where they know they're not going to really get in trouble, but they still feel like they're doing something bad? Like, I don't understand the psychology behind privileged, let's be honest, it's privileged white dudes engaging in petty theft during company events. I don't understand it. I just flat out don't get it. Why?
yeah, I think having witnessed it a lot, it's very reminiscent of like college culture.
Yeah.
So it's pretty.
I don't get it in
pretty
college
rampant
either.
where, yeah, it's pretty rampant in companies where that's the vibe, where they're like, oh, let's
Frat boy
basically pretend that
vibe.
we're still in college. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think so that, I haven't done a huge character study on this, but
I was gonna say I
think
wasn't
it has
ever a
to do-
fraternity boy, so maybe I don't.
me neither.
I don't get it.
But I think it has something to do with kind of showing that you're brave or willing to take risks or trying to impress your bros to be like, oh man, did you see that? Or, and I don't think that it is exclusive to men. I will say, like, I have seen situations where, women will do the same thing, and it's usually for some sort of acceptance or some sort of overcoming a stereotype. It's like, you think that I'm just prim and proper, but let me show you. I'm one of the steal
guys.
the shot glass. Exactly. It's very pick me, as the kids say these days.
Yes,
Pick the behavior on both fronts.
Rebecca, our society. I'm not going to go down a big TED talk about the toxic masculinity in our patriarchal society that
That's
forces
the next
us
episode.
to engage in toxic behavior. No, your dogs agree that this is just dumb behavior. It's childish in the worst way. And I'm really annoyed that there were no consequences, but I'm not surprised. Surprised? No. Disappointed? Yes.
Yeah.
That's like the theme of this podcast.
I know.
I'm not surprised, but I am disappointed.
Yeah, yeah. And to me, this is a story of two things that are sort of related, but could also live on their own in different companies. So the first part is that it's a story about toxic leadership / toxic employees and like what happens when top performers ruin culture.
Yes. The talented asshole conundrum.
Yeah. And like how people can justify toxic behavior if they're like, oh, but they make the money but they build the best product. Like, this isn't just for, we talked a lot about sort of sales attitude, but like it's also for people who are like the best product designers and coders and everything. But I think the less sexy sort of thing to think about in this story is how things like org structure really can make or break an HR person's ability to be effective. And I don't think that's just for HR, but there is, no one thinks about org structure, but org structure is kind of one of those things that kind of is like,
afterthought.
Yeah. And like, this is where I really think that it does show that with an org structure that doesn't actually empower the people who are accountable with the power to either, reinforce repercussions or just have something, then there's not really any success that can be had from that position. Like, Sandra was going to get undermined every step of the way by either side.
So then she's left with what a lot of HR folks in her position will do, which is just to give up and to say like, well, why should I try to make this a better place to work? Why should I try to do what's right when I don't have the power to do what's right. I don't have the ability to make this change. And if I'm not going to have support from the people higher up on the chain than me, then like, why even try? What is the point? And then you either coast along for a while, collecting a paycheck and doing work you're not proud of and being bored out of your mind, or you find a new job.
Yeah. And it's basically it creates...
Or you get fired for not making the change that you're not allowed to make.
Yeah, that could be another one too. It creates what I've heard and learned is called the no authority gauntlet, or what they call the nag effect, NAG, which I think is hysterical, because it's basically like, you see it a lot, not just in HR, it actually comes out in a lot of different positions. Project management is another one where you see it, because it's when you have all the responsibility to do something, but none of the authority. So, you know, it's like, that was kind of where Sandra was. In project management, for example, it's like, we have to hit this deadline, but the employees on the team of the project, they don't report to the project manager. So those employees' manager can give them a more priority project. And then it's like the project manager's like,
and then my job is just to nag you to get your shit done when you're being asked to do that by many people. And I don't have any actual power to get done what needs to get done. Yeah. It's a very frustrating middle management kind of level to be at.
Yeah. Yeah. And one final question. Is there anything you would have done differently if you were in Sandra's position, and any advice for our listeners?
It depends on where she is in her career. If I was where I am now, with all of my years of trauma-informed experience, lowercase t trauma, I will say I don't think I would have taken this theft to corporate, because I would have, at this point in my career, I would have known that corporate's not going to do jack shit about it. I would have just said, like, Brent, bro, like, you can't keep this, gonna get in trouble. Like, just take it back. Take it back or get it out of the office, and I never want to hear about it again. And because most likely, the most likely thing is that the boat cruise company is not going to see a missing life preserver and be like, we must find out who stole our life preserver. Let's get the security footage and have them. Like, most likely, what they are going to do is put a new life preserver up and be like, oh, some drunken idiot probably just stole it. And for me, that would not be the hill I would die on. I don't think I would win that battle. But if I were earlier in my career, I might have, I don't know. I don't know if I would have had the time or energy to be like, we found a life preserver in the office, clearly stolen from our party boat. We must conduct an investigation to figure out who stole it. Like, I don't know. Is that really the most important thing to work on? Probably not.
Yeah. I think
Even
I'm in
though
the same,
stupid and wrong.
I think I'm in the same boat as you are.
I just want Brent to feel bad about what he did. And it's not going to happen.
Exactly what I was going to say. I kind of get the vibe that, like, Sandra was more junior on, like, the junior-ish side of her career, because she was reporting to a VP in a, like, 300-person company as part of a public company. Like, there were a lot of layers between her and others. So she couldn't have had more than, like, 5 years of HR experience at most. And so, you know, I think that she really thought that goodness would prevail.
Yeah. Sweet innocence of youth.
I know. But what I really think, or the part of it that, I don't know, I didn't say this to her, but now that I'm thinking about it, Sandra, we could talk about this if you want. I think she hated Brent, and she wanted to see something happen to him. And that's why she was like, because, like, just the amount of times that he undermined her, just even in this story, is just, like, ridiculous. And so I could see her just being like, you know what, this might be the thing that Brent has to pay for. And then it just didn't happen. And so she's like, you know what, I'm out. Like, I don't even know if it was about the company. I think it was about Brent and how much she didn't like him.
It very well could be. I understand. I, too, want Brent to feel bad and never steal again. But, like, when you think about the level of harm, like, how much harm was really done here? Yeah. And
no one was hurt.
Yeah. Like, bigger fish to fry off the side of the boat. I tried.
Bigger fish to catch and fry.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah. You did great. I think you did great.
Don't patronize me, Rebecca.
I'm just all for really bad puns, even when they don't land exactly right.
Even when they sink instead of swim.
There you go.
Look at me trying.
We can just keep it going.
Yeah. Row your boat.
Well, that's all for this episode of HR Confessions. And if you want to submit your own confession, there's a link in the show notes where you can submit your story. You can also send me a DM on LinkedIn. You can send me a text if you know me. You can send me an email. If you run into me when I'm at an event, which is where I've been getting a lot of my stories lately, feel free to dump on me. I love hearing these stories, and, we always make sure that we preserve anonymity and things like that. So, would love to hear from all of you. Yeah, you will all be safe. I promise.
At least when it comes to this podcast, that's about as far as we can go.
Yeah, that's as much as we can probably control. So, yes. And if you have any other thoughts or input, we'd love to hear from you. So please follow us on social media or email us at hrconfessions@skillcycle.com. And on that note, thanks everybody. Thanks, Kim.
Bye.
Bye.